Good evening, good evening. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to one and to all. Extending a virtual rose and love from a distance. Welcome to Seed of Life, a new podcast. This is the debut, and my co-host is Iceberg Thoughts. First, I would like to thank my members, my mods, subscribers, and all who have supported and continue to support this platform. I would also like to thank Iceberg Thoughts for his support of me, my platform, and this vision. We will speak more on this vision in a few moments. A vision to help nudge a few, perhaps more, into the mindset of planning, preparing, and ultimately self-preservation. So, without further ado, Iceberg Thoughts, if you're ready, let's plant some seeds. As we wait for Mr. Iceberg Thoughts to join, he is having technical difficulties, and I'm sure I will too, as we have had several downpours of rain. So, hold tight and bear with us. And thank you again for joining. I can see a little bit of you, Iceberg, but not all just yet. I still think he's experiencing some difficulties, so we'll wait a few more moments. But you can enjoy the music in the background by Mob Only Uncut.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
So for some reason, I don't know why, StreamYard is not allowing me to turn my camera on. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've tried on my phone and my computer because I wanted to be cammed up for this, but all I'm seeing is a black screen.
That is all I'm seeing for right now.
I have no clue what's causing that. I tried on both my laptop and from my phone, so I'm not exactly sure what the reason is, because I've hit other panels and had no issue. I can turn my camera off and go to avatar, but whenever I go to camera, it's showing nothing, so I'm not exactly sure what's the cause of that.
StreamYard, I'm about to give the boot, but we will not let one monkey stop the show. So if you are comfortable with continuing with your avatar, let me know and we can continue on.
Absolutely, let's rock.
All right, well, welcome everyone again to Seeds of Life podcast with co-host Iceberg Thoughts. So Iceberg, if you'd like, let's do a little icebreaker, if you will, and let everyone know a little bit about the both of us. So since I'm a lady, I would like to begin. Where does the name Iceberg come from?
Sorry.
Hopefully we didn't. Are you able to hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
All right. So the name Iceberg, I used to be a mail carrier. So when I was doing that, it's like just about everybody in there got a nickname. They didn't call anybody by their full name. So it was mainly because of my kind of demeanor in there. And as y'all get to, know me more or whatever, you'll know and learn more about my kind of demeanor, personality or whatever. And I guess I probably come across pretty harsh at times, or direct, or whatever word people want to apply to it, but sometimes it's kind of an icy personality, people would kind of say. So that's where it all originated from.
Okay, and where are you from, if you don't mind sharing?
So I'm a military brat. I was born in DC actually, and then I lived in Maryland till I was about 10 years old, and then we moved to North Carolina. So I live in North Carolina.
Awesome. Your field or fields of interest?
Fields of interest? Well, I mean, my main interest these days, and I guess I don't know if it's an age thing or just learning and opening my eyes to more things, my main interest is about exactly the things we're going to be talking about on this podcast. Self-preservation, self-sustainability, those types of things. That's my main interest and kind of where I'm focusing my studies and stuff like that now. But in terms of my I guess professional field or my actual school learn type stuff or whatever, I have an associate's degree in aviation maintenance technology. I was in the Air Force, so I have an associate's degree from working on aircrafts, and then I have a bachelor's degree in organizational leadership from Arizona State University. And then as far as my professional background or whatever, I've done a bunch of different things, but most recently I'm working more in kind of an analyst role. So I do a lot of data mining and analyzing of the data, providing alternatives for different people to decide on, things like that.
Okay, and last question, your hobbies.
Well, y'all actually get to see a lot of my hobbies. Gardening is a hobby for me. Woodworking is a hobby for me. I like to do puzzles. YouTube has become a very time-consuming hobby here lately, because right now it's not a job for me. It's not providing me any income. It's just taking time, but it is allowing me to educate myself and hopefully educate others while I'm going through the process.
That's all the questions I have for this small icebreaker.
Awesome. It's my turn to shoot back at you, right?
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna start off easy like you did with me. Where are you Where are you from? Let's give us a little of your background as far as your upbringing.
I am from Southern Maryland, which is in Charles County. So I'm a Southerner, so to speak.
That's definitely true. Southern Maryland, if people aren't familiar with Maryland, because whenever I said I lived in Maryland, I lived in Frederick, so that's in the northern part of Maryland. So Southern Maryland and Northern Maryland are two totally different places, just like, Baltimore is a totally different world from the rest of Maryland. So I understand what you're saying there about being a Southerner, being in Southern Maryland for sure.
You said Frederick, Maryland, correct?
Yes.
So then you are familiar with Sugarloaf Mountain.
Absolutely. We used to go there on field trips as a kid.
Well, that's where I am.
Oh, wow. Awesome. I'm very
Absolutely.
familiar with that.
Almost 10 or 15 minutes from West Virginia.
Right. Exactly. So that's Maryland for you. Maryland's a weird shaped state if people don't know. I mean, it borders Virginia for a lot of it, but I mean, some of it touches West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, of course. So yeah, Maryland, it goes all over the place, and the people from the different parts of Maryland are different types of people.
Absolutely. See how God puts people, or the Spirit puts people in your path?
That's
and
right.
You have a lot in common, and you don't even know it until you converse with them. That's awesome.
Absolutely. That's crazy to find out. And you mentioned Sugarloaf Mountain. Like I said, I used to go there as a kid. I moved away from Frederick when I was 10, but, all through elementary school, through 5th.
Well, 270 and 80 can be a bull.
Oh, yeah. I never drove up. Well, I have since an adult, but I've never lived up there as an adult to be driving. So I don't deal with it on a regular, but I know anytime I do have to go up there, you got to go at the right time. And there's almost is no right time.
You just hit the nail on the head, because I told you I was a little bit nervous not being able to make it on time, because anytime we have any inclement weather, especially the higher the elevation, we get it harder. So I was actually on the Southern Maryland side, back on my way up here. So Once this debut is over, I'm out again.
Yep, it's a different part of the world again. Parts of Maryland is different for sure. All right, so question number 2. Do you have any brothers, sisters, any people, if you don't have blood siblings, any people that you have in your life that you kind of feel are brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have a brother, a younger brother.
Okay. So we talking significantly younger, or did y'all grow up together, that type of deal? I have a sister that I grew up with, and then I'm a child of divorce. My parents got divorced when I was around 10. So, and then they both remarried, and with that came other kids. Now, we never lived in the house with any of the rest of them full time, but we did, get step siblings and stuff like that I feel are just like my blood brothers, because I've grown up with them forever now at this point.
No, we grew up together, and he was actually drafted a little bit after high school for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Unfortunately, he threw his shoulder out, but many people in Southern Maryland and little rural areas don't get that opportunity to go that far. So I always would tell him, you did what many people only dream to do. So that is an accomplishment, and he played every sport you could think of. My mother had us in everything. I did gymnastics, I did track, you name it, I did it. I did some things I probably shouldn't have done, but yeah, we were into everything.
That's awesome. Yeah, my one of my brothers, he played football at Marshall. He played there for 4 years, and then he never went to the NFL, but he played some overseas ball and stuff like that. And he's from a little bitty town like that too. Not many people come out of there and go on to do things like that. So it's funny how we have those different ties in different ways, the Maryland thing, and got siblings who've done things, semi-professionally or whatever in sports. It's very interesting how the world ties people together.
Absolutely.
All right. Again, our questions are probably along the same lines. As much as you can share, what is some of your professional background, education wise or just work professionally wise?
University of Maryland, College Park, and my residence was Carroll Hall, not too far from the infamous Coalfield House, where basketball stars were made.
Yeah, I remember Old Field House.
And I'll just say, investigative field has always been in my blood and what I've been doing for the last many moons in different capacities. Now it's more along the side of, as you said, an analyst, so to speak.
Gotcha. Awesome. So what we going to talk about? What we doing here? What are these seeds of life that we want to talk about here?
Well, that is my question. Well, one of the questions I have for you from your perspective, and that is, what is a seed?
So, for me, I'll take it and try to paint a picture, I guess, is the best way for me to do it. And of course, I'm going to relate this or equate it to a gardening thing. So if I'm looking at what everyone pictures as a seed, and I swear I wish my camera was working properly, I just hold up a seed. But everyone knows what a seed looks like, whether it be an apple seed, a pea seed, a bean seed, a pepper seed, whatever. Everyone knows what a seed looks like. And for me, what a seed in life is the same thing like that seed. It's the thing that you have to basically start, you have to plant it within yourself to get started. And then once you do that, just nurturing it naturally through taking in the proper nutrients. And whether you got to water that seed, the real seed, or as far as your life, we got to water our souls as well, because water is a major factor of our body. And then that seed starts to sprout. We have to take care of that seed. When it's a young seed, we have to nurse it a certain way. As that seed gets older, it starts to get its own maturity. And in my garden, during this entire summer, I've probably watered my garden 5 times that I can recall. Mother Nature's taking care of the rest of it. So my seed kind of grew and got old enough to take care of itself. All of this still comes from that one seed, because that seed creates the root and it creates the stem going the other direction. So whenever I relate that to life, we have to plant the seeds within ourselves, or within the youth especially. It's our job as the adults to plant the seeds within the youth, and then teach them how to nurture the seeds within themselves. So it's not just doing things for a child, like that's going to create an enabling mindset, or some of the mentality of that instant gratification that we talk about today. But if we actually teach that person how to cultivate, take care of that seed for themselves, teach them all of the skills necessary. So one thing that I have just been thinking about more and more is that I feel like whenever kids are graduating high school, whether they're 17, 18, or whatever, they should have all of the skills already within them, or they should have at least had the skills taught to them. Now, how well one or another grasps the skills is a totally different thing, but they should have had them available to them and taught to them, where they could go off at 18 and pretty much live in the wilderness. They could chop down the trees, build the house, install the plumbing, install the electricity, all of that stuff with them and just a group of their friends who all know how to do this stuff together and go survive off the land. I think every one of our American kids should know that at 18. And if they don't have that, then okay, you can go into the military and they'll teach you some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But we have to get this stuff. In other cultures, they implant these seeds into their children. And that's why their children are able to turn whatever age is maturity and then come to America and then take over. And we have Americans sitting on their butts complaining about people coming into the country taking jobs or whatever, when we're not even implanting the seeds into ourselves or into our children so we can go out here and compete for the jobs. So that's what I think seeds are, and especially when we're talking about seeds of life.
Awesome answer. Awesome answer. And that covered quite a bit of territory that we will be going into further detail during the next official broadcast.
So, what are seeds for you, and what do seeds of life mean from your
Well,
perspective?
seeds for me are gems and jewels that you can take at a rough form and carefully watch it flourish and make sure in time that all of the rough edges are sanded down. Those take time because it's a growth process. And once it's ready, be displayed, if you will, it'll have that shine that'll never be taken away.
I like it. So, can I ask you a question to? I guess I don't want to get too deep right now. I know this is just our debut, but just to get clarification, I guess is the best way to put it. You refer to them as gems and jewels with rough edges, and you have to care for them to kind of bring them into their shine. So
Yes,
is that a metaphor to apply to some of our maybe people in life that we come across who we feel are a little rough around the edges and just need a little guidance or whatever to shine them up, and then they can kind of go on their own path and walk for themselves maybe?
absolutely. Everyone, as we know, are individuals. We have free will. There are some of us, if you don't know, you can't grow. Seeds grow, but as you mentioned just earlier, they need to be cultivated, and we must know what type of seed we're dealing with. We need to know the differences in regular dirt and soil. And personally, I know there's dirt, but as far as actually planting seeds to harvest fruit and vegetables, and that's something you have your expertise in. I wouldn't know the difference between potting soil, regular type of soil, um, whatever is needed to help nurture that particular seed to grow. So, with gems and jewels, I liken that to people with the potential of shining, but just need a little nudge to number one, get them into that mindset and to allow them to realize that everyone has that, in my opinion, inside. Sometimes you just need, like I said, a little nudge, a little nurturing, so that gem or jewel that's been instilled, once you are ready to be placed on display, meaning for your time, you'll shine. And nothing or no one can take that from you because you've already gone through the quote unquote inspection process.
Gotcha. I like it. So I make sure I was tracking with you. And we're gonna clear up something real quick. We're gonna get this out of the way. I know this is debut, but we got to teach the people something right now. And you know this too. Y'all know the difference between dirt and soil. Y'all know the difference between dirt and soil. Dirt is that stuff that little kids eat. It's brown, it's all crumbly and clumpy. You know the difference. Soil is black and or dark brown. It's gonna be moist. So your dirt, that's that brown stuff that little kids eat. And then whenever you see the red clay is basically the dirt that's been gotten wet, and then it dries, wet, dry, so it becomes that thick red clay like we got down here in North Carolina. But soil, that's that brown stuff. It's gonna be brown, it's gonna be black, it's probably gonna have worms in it. Good soil has worms in it. If you see worms in your soil, do not pick them out. You want them worms in there. So we just had to get that out there. Y'all know the difference between dirt and soil. And don't call your soil in your garden dirt, because it's not. If it is, you need to either mix some actual good soil in with it or get rid of it. Call your stuff soil, medium, or something like that. We don't play with dirt. Little kids play in the dirt.
All right. So, are there different types of soil, or what's the best soil to plant the best seed? Or does it depend on what type of seed?
Everything is dependent on what you're growing. There's totally different types of soil. Some drain better than others. Some are fertilized in a way to grow certain types of things. For example, a rose bush is very finicky for a person to grow, and roses like a certain type of soil. There's a lot of plants that like a certain type of soil. Can't even get plant to grow inside. Yes, you can, Andrea. We're going to teach everybody here how to grow plants inside. This stuff is some of the easiest stuff you can do. It does not take a whole lot of care, and you can learn all of this stuff either by watching YouTube or just reading a little bit. You'll be amazed how you can take one or two small plants, start with them, and then you'll have a house full of plants just from those two, because you'll take you'll take snips off of them, put them in the water, and let them get new roots. And next thing you know, you're putting that in a different pot. We're going to get everybody there. You all can grow plants, especially indoors. That's some of the easiest stuff to do. As long as you get some easy to grow air cleaning plants, all they take is a little bit of water. You test the soil, put your finger on the soil. If it comes out dry, then you probably need to give it some water. If you put it in there and your finger's still a little moist, you might be all right for a little bit. But we can get all of y'all to grow some plants. At least grow one plant inside. You're going to be proud of yourself and see how easy it is. And hopefully it'll make you want to grow more.
Awesome. All right, for the next two topics, and I'm going to allow Iceberg to run with this one, but the two items that we would like to discuss, and again, to instill into everyone, is planning and preparing. Again, planning and preparing, because the goal is self-preservation. And Iceberg and I spoke about this briefly, and we will be going into it more in depth next week, hopefully with some pretty little charts for everyone. But the goal is, again, for self-preservation, and we can liken that to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I'm not going to go too much in detail, but in 1943, Abraham Maslow did this little triangular chart with the theory of human motivation. So that is the premise behind this entire podcast, to motivate everyone to plan and prepare for not just ourselves, but who did you remind me of, Iceberg, earlier?
Who did I remind you of earlier? I'm sorry, I'm lost right now.
when we were speaking about planning, not just for us, but for
the youth.
Absolutely, the youth and generation coming behind us.
Absolutely, the future generations.
Absolutely. So, for planning, briefly give your spiel on the importance of planning to you.
Okay, so first I want to get this out there for everyone that's listening to this, whether you're listening to it live, whether you're going to listen to it on the replay. Please understand that there's no bad questions that you can ask out there. Because, okay, first off, though she called me an expert in gardening, that is not true. I've been gardening for about 3 years. I've just done some research and I've done some experimenting in my own garden. So I can tell you a little bit about a little bit, but I cannot tell you a lot. I'm still learning. I have years and years of learning to go in this aspect. But what I can tell you is there's no bad questions out there. If you have a question and you think it's the simplest thing in the world, like, I mean, the question's about the dirt, What kind of dirt is there? Are there different types of dirt? No question is a bad question. There are absolutely different types of dirt, and that's something that you need to know going into buying something. This comes into planning. When I talk about planning, planning goes from the simplest thing to the largest thing. I'm not saying everything has to be a 5 or 10-year plan. It may be, today is Wednesday, what am I planning to do this weekend? What action am I going to take this weekend? But it's important for you to actually take the time to, whether you need some quiet time, whether you need whatever it is that gives you the place and the space to actually focus in on what you need to do, take the time to plan. You can write it out, you can journal it, you can diagram it, you can make a list, whatever it is that you need to do for yourself. Make the plan. So whenever, say, Friday comes, whenever I'm on my platform, a lot of times I ask people to make the plan on Wednesday. So on Friday, you can start taking the action. You might get off work Friday, go to the store, get the materials that you need. And then on Saturday morning, before it gets hot, you might get out there and, do whatever you got to do. Or you might wait till Saturday evening, or you may have to push it to Sunday. The thing that you don't want to do is not have the materials, or not even have the plan, or know where to go get the stuff. Because in this current pandemic, post-pandemic world we're living in, stuff is not always just readily available for you to go to the big box store and grab it off the shelf. So you have to make a plan for this stuff. You need to actually probably get on your computer and look up to see, do they carry this stuff in stock? Is it something I'm going to have to order and wait a week to get? Whatever the case may be, especially when it comes to things like seeds. They're not all readily available as much anymore. Just all of these different things, you have to make that plan. So if you make that plan, that right there is probably 50% of your work. Because once you write out your plan, you've done the research to see that, okay, I can go to Home Depot and get this. I can go to Lowe's and get this. I got to go all the way across town to get that. You figure out how you're going to get those things, and then you have them. So you got them on Friday, right? Saturday comes, you got a little bit of morning time, an hour or two that you can get out there and get something done before it's going to rain the rest of the day. And that means it's going to push you to Sunday if you don't want to work in the rain. Not saying you can't, but you have to have all of this stuff planned out. And if you have the plan, you go ahead and get your materials, then you have the materials there. So whenever you can get out there, you go and do it. But if you don't have the plan, you're going to be basically at step 0. Because you're still going to have to make that plan no matter what. Whenever you leave your house, you just go out driving and say, oh, there's Walmart. I'm going to stop in there and see if they got anything I want. No, you actually make a plan to go out to a place. You go there and you get what you're going to get. So that is the importance to me in making the plan. Not only does it set you up for success, but you're going to have to do it anyways. So go ahead and do it. And then if you do it early, you can have everything, what's coming. You're not going to be met with a bunch of surprises. You're not going to get into one store thinking that that's where you're going to get everything and then realize they only have one of the things that you need and you actually have to go to 2 other stores. Or you could have went to the one store across town and gotten all 3 things. So make a plan. It saves you time. It saves you money. It saves you a lot of stress. You'll see, or you'll notice in your life, if you start planning things out, and especially if you write them down so you know that you have them there, put them in your calendar, whatever it is that you use to follow your plan. Once you do that, it'll be a stress relief off of you. Because that's one thing that you don't really have to think about. You already know where you're going, you know what you're doing, and you know where you can go look to see, what do I need to do next? Where do I need to go next? Why do you think executives and presidents and people like that have executive assistants? Those people make that person's schedule, and that person basically goes where they're kind of directed to go throughout the day. And that's how they can meet with foreign leaders, business leaders, and work a full day and meet with a whole bunch of different people in different places and get it all done. All you got to do is make a plan, good people.
Well, you've covered the entire gamut, and I'm just going to piggyback off of what you said. I look at planning basically by envisioning. I am a stickler about vision boards. Diaries, journaling. You can have journals, to-do lists for short-term goals, long-term goals. You can have food diaries. To me, being a vegan and being one who is a stickler, an advocate for clean eating, a food journal is absolutely imperative to me. It does not have to be fancy. It's just another way of keeping track of what you consume. And that's helpful if you may fall off. And being human, we all fall off from time to time. But that's an easy way to, number one, keep me basically on the right path. And if I need to incorporate anything more, because I do try to do all of the food groups that we learned as kids. So that's how I look at planning. And also, I look at planning as insurance, meaning just in case. We have renter's insurance, just in case something happens. Car insurance, just in case something happens. People may go 20, maybe 30 years never being in an accident or experiencing something within your home, or if you're renting. And this can apply to anything. It's there just in case. So proper planning, as you mentioned, can help stave off life, because life can and will happen. And if you have a plan in place, you always hear people speak of plan A, plan B, plan C. But are those plans effective? Are they meeting your need? Have you planned for the unknown?
Yep.
We are approaching, some of us are already in tropical and hurricane season. Have you planned anything yet? And that will segue into preparedness, which we will go through in depth next week. But quickly, preparation. Have you prepared? Have you even thought about preparedness within your homes, your vehicles, your places of employment, and for those who may be in school? So again, these are just little brief things, but Iceberg, I'm going to let you take preparing.
All right, so real quick to wrap up planning. I don't know if it's just a military saying or if it's just a common saying in the world, but they say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that's a way you can look at it. If you fail to make a plan, then you're planning on failing at whatever it is you're going out to do because you didn't even plan for it. Moving on to preparedness. It's going to be, I don't even know how to really say this without sounding so just almost basic in a sense. Like, to me, it's a common sense that you need to be prepared for things, right? I mean, if you're not prepared, then you're unprepared, right? Like if you're going in to take a test in school or whatever, if you're not prepared for the test, what are you going to do? You're probably going to fail, you know? There's not a whole lot of ways around that if you're just unprepared. So why is it that when we exit a setting where we're forced to be prepared in a sense because there's a grade or something depending on it, do we then stop preparing for things? In the military, again, I'm sorry, I gotta liken things back to my life experience. I was in the Air Force for 6 years, but way back before then, I was in the Army for 4 years. I went in the Army at 18 years old. And in the Army, when you're not actually at war, what are you doing the entire time? Preparing for it. That's all you're doing. All of the drills and stuff that you're doing is preparing to go and engage in that combat, whatever it is. So we were This is when urban warfare, which is, warfare in the cities and stuff, Black Hawk Down and things like that, popularize these things. That's the type of training and stuff that we're doing. We're preparing for the inevitable whenever they send you over into combat, because that's your job, is to prepare for going to do that. That's all you're doing. You're preparing your equipment, you're preparing your mind, you're preparing your body. That's why we got up and did PT every single morning. I was at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. We ran miles every single day. Why? Because we're preparing our bodies, because if they sent our unit over into a war zone, we're going to be on foot. There's a lot of infantry foot soldiers. So if you're going to be on foot in war, you need to be able to run for miles without stopping with 50 pounds on your back, carrying a weapon and all of this other stuff. What are we doing? We're preparing our bodies, we're preparing our minds, we're preparing our team, we're preparing ourselves to work as a team effort. So if we bring those things out into, like, say, my life now, I'm not in the military anymore, so no, I'm not preparing for war. But what am I preparing for? The tropical storms and the hurricanes. We're right here, and I'm in North Carolina. We're in a hurricane corridor. We get all of the stuff that the East Coast gets. We're right here in the corridor for it. I'm prepared for this upcoming winter that politicians and economists and everybody is telling you is going to be a hard and cold winter. So what does that mean? Potentially food shortages. What are we already seeing around the nation? Water shortages. How are you getting prepared for all of these things? If they start using water as a weapon of the state or a weapon against the people, we all have to have water to survive. We'll all literally die. We'll dehydrate and die if we don't have water. So if they start using water as a weapon against the people, and we know that most of the people who cannot afford to go out and get their own resources live in the places where they can just flip a switch and turn off the water. Let's say the inner cities, they can just flip a switch and turn off all the water and fight the people in that way. What are we doing to prepare for that? What are we doing to prepare ourselves with the garden, for the food, for the upcoming potential food shortages that they're telling you are going to happen? If you can't just go to the grocery store and pick up the things that you like to eat, why not just grow them in your backyard? Why not grow them in the windowsill of your apartment? That's getting prepared for things. That's being prepared. That's listening to what is being said around you, what's happening all around you. Doaz and I were talking about how the weather is changing, how it is like rapidly changing. We're almost at the end of this year and the weather is rapidly changing. And people are not paying attention. They're acting like it's still turn up party time for the summer. And we will be in winter just like that. And if, like I said, if the food dries up, if it harms the farmers' crops and they can't ship the stuff over, or it costs too much for you to buy because inflation's still not under control, what are you doing to be prepared? You just going to depend on eating ramen noodles that's, for the whole winter? I mean, what's it going to be? You might be able to get by on that. It's a lot of sodium, but.
Absolutely. And to piggyback off on that, as you mentioned, the media has began already subliminally, and it depends on how sharp you are in listening. You mentioned a cold, dark winter. Well, you hear that now. I've heard commercials already that state C-19 is not over. So be mindful and cognizant of propaganda and fear mongering, which segues back to what Iceberg just said. Be prepared. Begin now, even if you haven't started. And I always mention, when September began, we are literally in the fourth quarter, 3 months. We have exactly 3 months left. And God willing, we will be in 2023. There are, in many areas, food shortages or price gouging, which is literally, there are lawmakers, and I'm not getting into politics, but are trying to fight some of those because some items are sometimes triple the price. And for instance, I like to use mushroom broth. At one point earlier this year, you could get that for $3.17 from Whole Foods. It is now $7.43, I believe. So, as Iceberg said, begin preparing. We'll go into preparedness kits and things of that nature, but also a small tip you may want to think about now is non-perishable items, water, toiletries that I spoke about the other day, small things. You may want to think about generators and other types of, how can I put it, other types of methods to keep what you have from spoiling. Dry ice. Again, tropical storm, hurricane weather. Do you know, and this is for anybody in the chat, and Iceberg, do you know the shelf life of items that are refrigerated when spoilage begins to happen if you lose power due to inclement weather, meaning perhaps a tornado, a hurricane, a tropical storm?
I don't know off the top of my head now.
4 to 5 hours, and I'm saying 5, and I'm being generous with that. So, say you just went to the market and you purchased all this food, and it's in your refrigerator, and out of nowhere, a huge storm happens, or perhaps there was an automobile accident, and the entire community loses power, and you're out of power for an entire day. Do you have coolers filled with ice? Do you have dry ice? Have you even planned, well, what if that happens? So those are just little things to be cognizant of, because people now don't have money to respend again on food items. And if you have small, mid to large families, it doesn't even matter the size anymore. Groceries are entirely too high to have them ruined because they've spoiled. Have you prepared or planned in the event that happens? And these are actual real life events that have happened to many people. So again, that is something that we will go into further in depth, but just a couple of things to, again, as I said, with the gems and jewels, to nudge a few people into the mindset of thinking about what if. I think that's the best way to put it, Iceberg. What do you think about that? What if? What if this happens? What
Absolutely.
if that happens?
Absolutely. That's what preparedness is about, is what if that happens. And I mean, really, when we're talking about planning and preparedness, you can put them together, because if you think about the what if, all right, now you plan to be prepared for it. You know, you can flip them around after you've thought about it. Am I prepared for this? No, I'm not. Okay, let me make my plan to be prepared for it.
Okay. I mentioned earlier to you, Iceberg, if you have ever been in a situation where you know you should have planned and you didn't, and then you end up paying a pretty price for it.
I thought you said you had a story on that.
I do, but I wonder if you had one yet.
I don't have one that I think is going to be as good as yours.
You tricked
no,
me.
I'm not tricking you. No, I'm not tricking you. I'm not tricking you. I can't think. I mean, I know there are plenty of experiences in my life where I have been not as prepared as I needed to be in a situation. I just can't think of anything that's very specific. Beyond, test situations and things like that. But I can't think of any real just specific situations.
Well, here's my Usher confession moment or story time moment. Long time ago, maybe 10 years ago, and I'm getting better. I promise you I am. My pretty little Beamer had an issue with one of its tires. So I did the right thing by getting the spare on. But hardhead me decided to drive that spare, or as many people will call it, the donut, like a regular tire. I drove that car for about 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Let me finish. For 2 weeks and over 60 miles per hour until something went boom.
Yeah, it did.
I had to make a phone call after I told a fib that I had replaced both back tires. So dinner was very awkward that night, the night after that, and the night after that. Moral of the story, when you know better than to do something foolish like that, and many people do this, I'll do it later. Well, unfortunately, when you wait too long and you know that you're waiting too long, as you said earlier, you're setting yourself up. That could have really turned into an accident that not only could have hurt someone else, but including myself, by being lazy and hard-headed. I know, Amsoul, I know. But yes, that's my confession of knowing good and darn well that you don't use a spare tire as a regular tire.
Yeah.
And yeah. I'm special.
Yeah, so it's funny. Well, not funny, and that's not funny at all. But
no, it wasn't.
Just on Sunday, my wife and I were coming back from somewhere, and vehicle in front of us, I don't know if it dropped something, ran over something, but I didn't see it soon enough. I ran over it too. So end up with a gash in the back tire, but we were right around the corner from the house. So we get to the driveway, and the tire's flat. The back tire's flat. So I put the donut on, all that good stuff. But that was Sunday, and we got the tire changed today. So it didn't go quite 2 weeks. We tried to get it done a little bit sooner than that. 60 miles an hour for 2 weeks.
Well, when you're on the highway, you already know about 270, 80, 295.
You're not supposed to do more than like 55
keep up with the traffic.
And you're not supposed to do more than like 55 on them, and that's supposed to be to get you from where you are to the tire shop.
I know, but I had to keep up with everyone else because it can be, it's like a feeling of paranoia that when everybody is zooming by you and you already know, your heart's already beating fast enough, like, I'm on this daggone highway, on this donut, and I'm getting tired of people blowing the horn. I mean, and some of them, they were like leaning in on the horn.
Oh, yeah, up there in Maryland area. Yeah, they crazy out there.
I had to keep up with the Joneses on the highway. And
well, you know what? I bet you won't. I know you weren't the only one out there. It was probably about 30 other people out there on donuts doing 80. So you won't. I know, because I know how they be up there in Maryland, D.C. They be on donuts all over the place, and they be out there doing 80 on them things like it ain't nothing. So you won't alone. You ain't even look out of place on that donut.
No, I didn't until I had my little scolding, and that's the thing. When you are already warned and you have those booklets in the vehicle already that tells you how many miles a spare should be driven and what the purpose of a spare tire is for, and you decide you're going to reinvent the wheel, if you will, and then you sit there and tell a fib, and that person already pretty much trusts that you're going to do the right thing, and then they get a phone call and find out. I don't even want to go through it, but like I said, yeah. Prepare and plan.
Well, here's a real quick thing, and we can get up out of here. But on that note, I haven't put the video out because I still got to edit it and everything. But when I was changing that tire on my wife's vehicle to the spare, I did a little video, and this is a preparedness thing, actually. Because did you have to change that tire yourself on the side of the road or wherever?
Nope.
Okay. Well, if you did have to change it yourself, the video that I am going to put out is about like changing the tire or whatever. And I'm talking junk about that little crap crank jack that they put in the back of your vehicle, because that thing will get you killed. Everybody need to go out and buy them a little portable jack. I'll show it in the video. But it's a jack you can keep in your car. It's easy for women to use. A kid could probably use it if they got enough strength to pump the thing, but it's a pump-up jack as opposed to you out there cranking and stuff. And you need to get you a crossbar where you can take those lug nuts off.
So you said you're going to post that about when? Are you still there, Iceberg?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. My phone keeps going black on me. I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's okay.
I gotta chop it up and everything. I haven't even reviewed the footage. I just recorded myself doing it. I haven't even looked at it yet, so I gotta review it. But everybody gotta get one of those portable jacks. You gotta get yourself a crossbar, because you're gonna get yourself killed on the side of the road with that little crank jack that's in the back of the car. But like I was talking to myself, is that some of this stuff I understand is going to be a strength thing. Some people aren't going to be able to break free lug nuts, but what I'm talking about is going to make it so much easier for anybody who does have the ability to change a tire. The know-how is nothing. Changing a tire is not a whole lot of know-how. You take the lug nuts off, take the tire off, put the new tire on, put the lug nuts back on. But I'm just going to show people those couple of items. It'll make their life so much easier. It goes along with being prepared, because it's going to be almost inevitable at some point in time you're going to get a flat tire or something where you have to change a tire or wait on the side of the road for somebody to come change the tire for you. I think another one of those things that all of our children need to know when they graduate high school. They need to know how to change a tire. If you know how to drive a car, you need to know how to change a tire. My opinion. But again, that's just being prepared. That's having yourself or your young person or whoever prepared, so when they're out there, they're not stuck waiting for somebody else to come and rescue them. Your situation was different because you were on the donut, so you ain't really have nothing to go to.
I'm just being me. But I've learned now, I'm getting better with putting at least a half a tank of fuel in a car. So I'm getting there. But again, these are just a few ideas, tips, things to keep in the back of your head about preparing for, basically, as you said, the unknown, the inevitable, because we know that the inevitable is absolutely inevitable, and it happens at the worst times. So again, planning, preparing, self-preservation. It's not too late. Make a plan today. And the next official broadcast of Seeds of Life will be next week, the 14th. And Iceberg, let everyone know who's listening now or may listen to the broadcast on a replay what their homework assignment is.
So, your homework assignment is just to make a plan. some sort of plan, whatever it is that's important to you, that's going to be something for you. So take some time, find some quiet time, some quiet space, however long it takes you, and write down a plan for something. Whatever it is, whether it's along the gardening, line where I kind of focus, or whatever else it is, make a plan, write that plan down. Now, we want to encourage people to come on with us next week and share. You don't have to share maybe specifically what your plan is unless you want to, but just share with us that you did make a plan and that you did follow through.
Absolutely. And if no one else has anything else they would like to add, again, I would like to take a moment to thank my co-host, Iceberg Thoughts. Thank you again for sharing in this vision. I believe that this can and will go very far. All I would love is that one person, and I'm sure it will be more, but if one person can glean something positive, that's a win. And it can be contagious. So, Soul, thank you. Felice K, thank you. Andrea Smith, thank you. Make sure I had everyone. Hubert Conover, Facebook, thank you. Driven One, thank you. Let's see who else came in here, because I do not want
to. Too big for skinny jeans. Salute. Deron TV. Salute. Catch it started.
Andrea Smith. Yes, Cache. Deron B. Andrea, too big for skinny jeans. Christian De Jesus Lopez. Duarte, hola to you. Thank you. And I believe that's everyone. And in closing, thank you, Iceberg. In closing, I have one specific plan I would like for everyone to at least jot down and keep in mind after tomorrow. Is everyone ready for that particular plan? If you are, please let both myself and Iceberg Thoughts know that you're ready for that plan that should begin after tomorrow, which is September the 8th already. Let's see. I believe that means yes, you're ready for that plan. You ready? All right.
Oh, Lord. She wearing loser gear.
Did you like that? See, too bad you didn't cam up. Iceberg.
My camera was working.
Plan everyone. Plan everyone to carry your L's. Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys.
Tom Brady is going to drag them this weekend.
Oh man. Gotcha, Soul 17. Oh, Felice K has the big eye look. But yes, I was like, oh no. And he was like, I want you to be able to cam up. And I was like, oh my God, the lighting was perfect so you could see the big, beautiful D, the big, beautiful A, the two big, beautiful L's, and the A and the S. But God, it just did not work out that way. Ooh. No, Driven One did not say boo. Felice K Raider Nation. Oh no.
You know what
But
those two L's stand for.
what? Watch it, sucker. Do not, do not go there.
I mean, y'all used to getting L's, so I mean, you gotta have a lot of L's in the name. Y'all used to taking L's.
Well,
especially in the playoffs.
This is a new year, and guess what? I have already planted the seed for a win.
Oh, wow.
How you like that ending?
I mean, y'all would get at least one win.
Wait a minute.
Not week 1, but a win some point this season, I'm sure.
No, I've already predicted, Iceberg. Dallas Cowboys, and I'm going on record again, will walk away with a regular season record of 12-5, and they will clinch. Hear me now. They will clinch a playoff berth. Thank you very much.
I had to look at the schedule. I can't speak on that yet. I haven't looked at the schedule and went game by game, but I mean, we'll see. A lot of people are looking at Philly this year, so y'all got to beat
the
Philly.
Dirty Birdies.
A lot of people putting their stuff on Philly that I've heard lately. People been talking about Philly. I don't know why. I don't know. I haven't paid them any attention, but people have been talking about Philly. They like the offense and the defense.
Well, there are people also talking about some raggedy team. Is it Kansas City? What is it? Kansas City Chiefs? I think Kansas City Chiefs. And there's another raggedy team out there. Who? New Orleans Saints. And who else?
You haven't thrown any stones at me yet. You talking to
I forgot. What's your team?
You haven't thrown
because I'll throw it right now.
I
will throw a boulder right now.
My team is a real threat. Talk about some of the real threats. You haven't mentioned any of the real threats in the NFC yet.
You can't be speaking about the Buccaneers.
No. Go out west. West Coast.
Chargers?
49ers.
Oh, boo.
Yes, yeah. Cowboys don't want no 49er problems. What
was their record last year?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it was a lot better than the Cowboys. They were in the playoffs. They was almost in the Super Bowl.
You said almost?
Yeah, they was almost in the Super Bowl. They was in the Super Bowl the year before, I think it was.
Iceberg, I want you to do me a favor. Once this broadcast is over,
yes, ma'am.
There's a recording artist, an R&B recording artist. Her name is Brandy, and she has this wonderful song. Yes,
doesn't count.
Almost doesn't count.
So how many Super Bowls Cowboys got? Same amount as 49ers.
You know what? Right? I am up in the mountains, and I did not hear that last question.
Same amount as 49ers,
I promise
right?
You.
But the Cowboys just have
Oh no, I'm losing power.
Success in 20-something years.
No, because last year the refs cheated the Cowboys.
Oh, the refs. Oh.
On that last play. Come on, Iceberg.
Who was it against? I don't even remember. I try not to watch Cowboys because I don't like watching losers.
What? Now, how could you say that? You have Dak Prescott. You have Zeke Elliott. You don't need anybody else.
Well, Zeke going to be an afterthought this year because Pollard going to take his job. Dak is all right, but I don't know what y'all doing at receiver. Y'all all over the place. So we'll see. In the defense, I've said for the last 20 years or whatever that I really think that the Cowboys will not have a chance until Jerry basically, leaves this earth. I think he is the hex on the team. Whenever he did what he did with Jimmy, the way he did and all that, I think that's been the hex on the team. So I think it's going to take Jerry leaving this earth for the Cowboys to ever win a Super Bowl again.
Well, that's what a lot of people say about Washington. The Washington Commanders. Now, they keep talking about, they've acquired so many weapons, but I'm telling you, it's the same sugar honey iced tea just warmed over. They may begin strong, but mid-season, it's like the wind goes out of them, and then they start to plummet. And it's the same thing. I don't care how many people that they acquire. I don't know what happened. And they've had more turnover than an Apple turnover. And it's the same thing. So we'll see what happens. But again, Dallas Cowboys, we them boys. Remember, 12-5, and they will clinch a playoff berth.
You right,
But
they them
again,
boys. They them
what did
boys. They them boys. You right, they them boys, but the only problem is football's a man's game. They them boys. They gonna remain them boys.
Does your team play on Thursday or Sunday?
We play on Sunday this week.
Well, my team will be on at 8:20 p.m. So when you're ready to see a spectacular show of true sportsmanship, tune in after 8.
Oh, I'll be watching.
And we'll
I'll be watching. I'll be watching Tom Brady torch y'all secondary. That's what I'll be watching.
Ooh, Felice K, did you just throw rotten tomatoes at me? No, she didn't. Oh my God, I just got tomato bomb.
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching. I'll definitely be watching that game. I'm gonna be watching Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers walk up and down the field. Where's that game? Is it in Dallas? Because Dallas love losing in Dallas.
You know what? See, you need to go plant some more seeds.
Only time the Giants win games is when they're playing in Dallas.
The Giants?
The Giants.
You need to exhume them. They've been gone and buried for years.
I agree.
The Giants?
But they whoop Dallas in Dallas just about every single year. I agree they need to be exhumed, but they get exhumed for that one game. They come down there to Jera World and shut the place down.
Whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. I lost a little bit of memory for a moment. See, and a friend of mine is a diehard Giants fan. I mean, did they win 1 or 2 games last year?
I don't know. I mean, their team is no good, but I bet you one of those wins was probably against the Cowboys in Dallas.
See, we're going to have some problems. We're going to have some problems. Good thing this is scheduled on Wednesday and not on Thursday or Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And so Jimmy is garbage. That's why we got Trey coming in there. Because Jimmy is garbage. I agree. I never would been a Jimmy fan. I was a fan of with Kaepernick days, you know. So
I thought, honestly, somebody would have picked him up. I thought he was trying to make a run. I don't know if that had anything to do with the settlement, but I guess
he's blackballed. That's all publicity. He is blackballed out of that league. There's not one of them. I ain't gonna say no race. There's not one of those owners that's gonna bring him on the team and take what comes with it, as far as the media attention and all of that stuff. Especially at this point, he's so many years removed from the league. Nobody wants that heat.
So you don't think he would do well second string?
Oh, I'm not saying he wouldn't do well. I hated the fact that the 49ers ever got rid of him. I'm just saying that I don't think at this point in time any owner is going to take that publicity heat, you know, that comes with bringing him to the team, because that they're going to make a big media thing like, this owner's going against the other. Only owner who would do something like that would be Dan Snyder, because he don't care about the other owners. They already hate him. He the only one who would do something like that.
Wow. Well, again, I am not and have not been a 49ers fan. I guess you all might get to 500. Am I reaching?
That is hilarious.
Am I reaching?
We're just gonna have to figure out a way to come up with a friendly wager to put on the best record between the 49ers and the Cowgirls. I guess that's how we just have to handle this, because I have no doubt in my mind that the 49ers would drag the Cowboys this year, record-wise.
Why? And why does everyone always have to say Cowgirls?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did that slip out? My apologies. That slipped out.
That's okay. But everyone, thank you all again for joining Seeds of Life, a new podcast with co-host Iceberg Thoughts. Again, the mission, the goal is for self-preservation. Getting there is, well, two of the vessels to get there is planning and preparation. And we'll be talking about many different areas of doing that, sharing some little do-it-yourself videos. And Iceberg, if anyone wants to comment, and if there's anything they would like for us to discuss further, hit us up, and we'll be happy to go over that. And that's it. If you have nothing else.
I have nothing else. Happy we getting this off the ground. I'm excited about the coming weeks. Like Doe said, hit us up. Any topics y'all want us to talk about or anything. Definitely here for it, open to it, and look forward to these coming weeks.
I am looking forward to it as well. And again, tomorrow is September 8th. Welcome NFL football. And for those of you, especially you Iceberg Thoughts and everyone else that hasn't and will never forget, we are also approaching on Sunday 9/11. So remember those that made the ultimate sacrifice.
Absolutely.
And again, that's just another reminder of, again, planning and preparedness, because I do not believe too many people planned or even prepared for that. But that's something that we can talk about at another time. But it's just another reminder of, as you mentioned, the operative word, the inevitable.
Yep. Absolutely. Got to be prepared.
Absolutely. So with that, if you all enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe to both Iceberg Thoughts and Doe Eyes TV. Get your plans together. It's never too late. All it takes is pen to paper or the thought in your head, and for it to be manifested in the universe. So take care, and thank you, everyone. Iceberg, be blessed. Enjoy the remainder of your Wednesday.
Thank you. You all do the same.
Thank you. Bye-bye for now.